Good morning, my students. How's it going? Today we will talk about the last lesson of Unit 1, chemical equation and chemical reaction. By the end of this lesson, all students should be able to define the chemical reaction, write the chemical equation. And we have some keywords. Please repeat after me. Equation, reaction, reactants, products. As we know, matter consists of molecules, and the molecule consists of atoms. And we know that we have two types of chemical bonds, ionic bond and covalent bond. Okay, now have a look to this GIF and this GIF. This is called a chemical reaction. This is called reactants. On the left, this is called reactants, and this is called products. This is called what? Products. Remember this. Reactants, products. This is called chemical reaction. All of this is called chemical reaction. How is it the chemical reaction happens? Here we have, this is, look here. Yes, this is breaking of bonds between the reactants molecule. Breaking in bonds of reactants molecule. And here, forming new bonds between the products molecule. Here we have two hydrogen molecules and one oxygen molecule. Here, this is breaking bond between the bonds of molecules of reactants and forming two H2O molecules. This is forming bonds. So, when we are talking about what is the chemical reaction, the process that involves breaking bonds in reactants molecules and forming new bonds in products molecule. This is the reactants to Mg plus O2 equal to MgO. This is the products. Here we have breaking bonds between O2 molecule to forming, and we have two Mg atoms. So Mg with O and Mg with O equal to MgO. What is the importance of the chemical reaction? Used to transfer the less used substance reactants into useful substances and products. Used as a source of electrical and heat energy, this is so important. Used in most of modern industries as manufacture of fertilizers, fuel, food industries, car batteries, and plastic. And here we'll talk about the chemical equation. Okay, this is called chemical equation. What is the chemical equation? It's a set of simple. This is a simple, and this is a simple, and this is a simple. And the chemical formulas that represent the reactants and products molecule in the chemical reaction and represent the conditions. Here, this is the condition of the reaction. This is the heat. Here we have heat. This is a condition for reaction. So this is the condition. So again, chemical equation, set of samples. Mg is a sample and O is a sample, and the chemical formula is like MgO. This is a chemical formula that represents the reactants. This is reactants on the left, and the products on the right, molecule in the chemical reaction, and represent the condition or the conditions of the reaction. Like here we have heat as a condition of this reaction. Chemical equation must be balanced. Why? To achieve two laws. To achieve the first law, law of constant ratio. That means number of atoms in reactants must be number of atoms in products. Here, if you have 2 atoms of oxygen, here it must be 2 atoms of oxygen. 3 atoms of carbon, for example, here you must have 3 atoms of carbon. And the second, to achieve the law of mass conservation. The law of mass conservation, it means that the mass of reactants must be equal the mass of products. Here, if the mass of reactants equal 10 grams, for example, here it must be 10 grams the mass of products. Okay. So what is the mass of law conservation? Okay, the law of mass conservation in chemical reaction, total mass of reactants equal total mass of products. And law of constant ratio, the chemical compound is formed from combination of its elements by constant weight ratio. For example, this is an example for law of mass conservation. If I tell you that the mass of magnesium is 24 and the mass of oxygen atomic mass is 16 grams. Okay, here we have 2 magnesium atoms, so 2 by 24 plus here we have 2 oxygen atoms, so 2 by 16. All of this process equal 80 gram. So here we have 2, this 2 by mg and O. So 2 by 24 plus 16 equal 80 grams. So we have 80 grams in products. So we have 80 grams in reactants and 80 grams in products. So the equation is balanced. And now make a pause for this video and let's play. Scan the QR code to play and back to me. Here we will talk about the types of chemical reaction. It may be element plus element. The chemical reaction here may be element plus element, like non-metal with non-metal. It's a combination between 2 non-metal elements, like this is C, this has an element, and CO, element molecule, C plus O2, it's equal CO2. And it may be between metal and non-metal, metal element plus non-metal element, like Mg, this is a metal plus oxygen, this is non-metal, it's equal to MgO, this is white powder, this is white powder, MgO, this is white powder. And it may be between compounds, here compound plus compound, like ammonia plus HCl equal NH4Cl. This is a compound and this is a compound, okay, equal NH4Cl, and this is a white fume. So NH4Cl, this is a white fume. It may be between element and compound. This is 2CO, this is compound as we know, and this is oxygen, this is element. So here it's between compound and element equal to CO2. Although the chemical reactions is very useful, but it has a negative effect. For example, if you will talk about carbon oxides resulting from burning fuel, they have negative effect, like they increase the air temperature, acts as a greenhouse because it allows passing of thermal rays from sun to earth and never let them return back. And it causes headache, fainting, stomachache, and it may lead to death. And we have here sulfur oxides, like sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, SO2, SO3. They are acidic gases resulting from burning of fuel, breathing problem, and building corrosion. And we have nitrogen oxides like nitric oxide and nitrogen oxide. They are acidic gases resulting from lightning, poisonous, bad effect nervous system, they have bad effect on eyes. Burning of coal and siliceous fibers, air cause air pollution and lung cancer. So they have a very bad effect and negative effect. And now rewrite the following chemical equation after balancing them. Here we have N2 and H2 equal NH3. How many nitrogen atoms? As we said, the number of atoms in reactants must be equal number of atoms in products. Here, how many nitrogen atoms? Yes, here we have 2. And how many hydrogen atoms? Here we have 2. How many nitrogen atoms and the products? Here we have 1, and nitrogen we have 2. How can we make the number of atoms here in reactants equal the number of atoms in products? If we put 2 here, you can put any number here or here, okay? We only put numbers here in the first. So if we put 2 here, 2 by 1 equal 2, and 2 by 3 equal 6. So, okay, here we have 2 nitrogen atoms, and here we have 2 hydrogen atoms. But here we have 6 hydrogen atoms, and here we have 2 hydrogen atoms. What should we do? Yes, if we put 3 here, here we have 2 by 3 equals 6. And here we have 6. So it will be N2 plus 3H2 equal to NH3. Here we have 2 nitrogen atoms, and 3 by 2 equals 6 hydrogen atoms, and here we have 2 hydrogen atoms, and 2 by 3 equals 6 hydrogen atoms. So 2, 6, 2, 6, it's a balanced equation. Here we have Ca plus O2 equals CaO. How many calcium atoms? Yes, here we have 1. And how many oxygen atoms? Here we have 2. Here we have how many calcium? Yes, 1. And how many oxygen atoms? Here we have 2. What should we do? Yes, here we have 2, and here we have 1. So if we put 2 here, it will be here we have 2 calcium atoms and 2 oxygen atoms. Okay, so here we have 2 oxygen atoms, here we have 2 oxygen atoms, but here we have 2 calcium atoms and 1 calcium atom here. So if we put 2 here, here we have 2 calcium atoms, and here 2 calcium atoms. So C2Ca plus O2 equal T2CaO, as we can see. And now a question, give reason for. On burning a magnesium ribbon, a white powder is formed. Why? Due to the chemical reaction between the magnesium and oxygen. The chemical equation shall be balanced. Why? Give reason. To achieve the law of constant ratios and law of mass conservation. In this session, we studied the chemical reaction, the process that involves breaking bonds in reactants and forming new bonds in products. Chemical reaction is a set of samples like 2Mg here plus O2 and chemical formula MgO. This is a chemical formula that represent the reactants. They are the reactants and products, yes, molecule in the chemical reaction, and represent the conditions of this reaction. This is the heat, the condition of this reaction. And we studied the law of mass conservation in chemical reaction. Total masses of reactants should equal total masses of products. Here if they are the total mass 80 gram, here it must be 80 grams. And we studied the law of constant ratio. The chemical compound is formed from combination of its elements by a constant weight ratio. Here, for MgO, it must have one magnesium atom and one oxygen atom. For Na2O, it must have two Na atoms and one oxygen atom. This is constant. This is the keywords for the next lesson. Please repeat after me. Negative effect, corrosion, cancer. To the list, watch the session another time, read the material of the lesson, solve the homework sheet. See you next session. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.